Good morning. Welcome to Traxx Fm. It's Brunch on Traxx. Our guest in the studios at this time of the morning is Yasmin Rasyid, the chairperson of the Malaysian environmental non-governmental organization Mango. And then there's also she's also the president of EcoKnights in our studios of Traxx FM. Hi Yasmin, how are you?
Hi Nigel, good. Nice to be here on a Sunday.
Nice to have you here on a Sunday. Otherwise, what would be happening for you on a Sunday?
Probably brunch right about now.
Right.
And then planning with my kids what to do for the whole day.
Fantastic. And you want to tell us about Mango and then EcoKnights a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Malaysian Environmental NGO, or Mango for short, is a national coalition of environmental and social NGOs. We were established by the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment in 2001 with funding from Danida. And what we represent is a collective voice on environmental issues, which we work very closely with government agencies, especially in terms of policies and legislations. EcoKnights is an environmental NGO I founded personally in 2005, and the gist of the work that we do is mainly on education awareness and also community development.
And you have all these websites available for people to check out.
Right, yeah. For Mango, it's www.mango.org. For EcoKnights, it's EcoKnights.org.my.
That's right. You can log on to his website and find out a lot more while we're having this little chat over here. And well, okay, tell us about yourself. How long have you been involved, and you know, how long have you been interested?
Well, academically, my background is in marine biology. I've been involved in environmental work since 1997. Directly by working with environmental NGOs here. So it's been close to almost 2 decades now. I think.
Decades, yeah. And are you saying, are you happy with where we're going? I know you're going to say there's a lot more that can be done, of course. Yeah. But have we made progress? Have we taken good steps?
Definitely, we have made a lot of progress. We have also, I guess, have a lot more talents, I think, in this country. I mean, just looking at the kind of availability in terms of the kind of fields of studies that we have in universities, you can definitely tell the younger generation are also advancing in their scope of understanding of environmental issues.
Getting to be very interested nowadays, yeah?
Yes, definitely.
And Malaysia in general, right? And when you talk about progress in Malaysia, what are some of the things you can think offhand and say, like, yeah, I'm so glad that's been done already in Malaysia?
Transportation is one. I think we're moving in leaps and bounds forward in trying to improve public transportation. Of course, getting people from one place to another in a shorter amount of time or in the most efficient way is important. But from my perspective, or as someone who works in environment, you're also talking about reducing a lot of reliance on burning fossil fuel or even cars on the road. So I do hope the facility will be provided by the government. Kudos to them. It's about time we get all cities connected. Now the challenge is, are the Malaysians in general going to be supportive of this and going to be the right users of public transportation? Yeah. Okay,
all right. We're going to come back with you in a bit from now. We have a lot more to ask you. Yes. Yasmin Rasyid over here, chairperson of Malaysia Environmental Non-Governmental Organization, Mango, and president of EcoKnights in our studios over here today, folks. We're talking about going green and all that nice stuff, yeah. Hi, good morning. Welcome to Brunch on Traxx. It's 11:28. This is Traxx FM. Yasmin Rasyid is our guest in the studio, chairperson of Malaysia Environmental Non-Governmental Organization, Mango, and then there's she's the president of EcoKnights as well over here. So good to have you with us over here. It's very nice.
It's always nice to be here, Nigel.
And a lot of people will be wondering, so she's somebody who talks so much about the environment, somebody who cares so much about the environment. Does she walk the talk? So when we talk about you at home, what are some of the simple things that you do at home that you practice yourself, that you preach and you practice about, that a lot of people out there can also adopt?
Well, personally, let me start on a personal level. Personally, I'm not a meat eater. I think it's a personal choice. I'm not saying that it's always good to be a non-meat eater, but I do watch what I eat and I do watch what I buy for my family. So everyone knows going organic and buying organic is not something very cheap these days. So what I do is I try to be very selective and try as much as I can to purchase food items that are more healthy for my family. Family's health is first. Secondly, I do the basics. I recycle and get the whole family involved at home. Tertiary, I do have a rainwater harvesting system at home, so I do capture my own rainwater and use most of it to water my garden and my plants and my porch. I think number 4 is probably electricity usage. We try our best not to use too much, and we're just a family of 4, so it's very tiny. So I'm always like the monitor in a house lah, making sure everything is switched off and all that. Comparing bills.
Here she comes. Messenger of misery, mom.
I'm like the Nazi at home. Just basic things which I think a lot of us kind of overlook most of the time.
We do, and that little bit of educating our kids about how keeping electricity down and turning off the lights when you're out of the room, turning off the fan when you're out. It's so we overlook it so much these days. Yeah.
I had to teach my daughter 2 days ago about making sure the washing machine has a full load before you press start the machine, and even now it's continuous education at home about making sure they when I'm not around, they are practicing the right things,
That's right. And what are you looking for? Like 2015, issues at hand, what were some of the things that were, that you hoped would have been settled, but maybe not settled yet, and you're looking forward to that happening in 2016?
2015 gave us a very macro perspective on the kind of range of environmental issues we face. We had the haze, which was very severe last year. We had water issues as well in certain places, and water, not just water from your tap, but there was also flooding. And third, we had the recent Red Sea phenomena outside Pahang, so on and so forth, and deforestation is something that we battle with every year anyway. So 2016 would be interesting to see how the public or even government agencies or local authorities or even ourselves, NGOs, work more collaboratively to minimize these impacts in 2006. As you know, El Nino has kicked in.
Right.
And normally, they say before Chinese New Year the weather gets hotter, except I think this expected hot weather will last beyond February, right up to March and April, and that's a big concern. Maybe a prediction would be what's its impact on our dams. Will we have enough water?
That's another thing to think about.
At the same time, other areas are facing flood. It's kind of an oxymoron. I don't know if anyone has ever thought about getting flood-prone areas, capturing those water, and then maybe even looking at preparing it to address areas that are facing a deficit in water. So this is going to go on, and it'll be interesting to see later on, past June, what is the status of the haze again. I mean, it has become an annual event.
Yes.
It's just that it's very hard to predict on the severity of the haze. So it'd be nice to see our API monitoring stations effective this year compared to how it was last year. It wasn't really capturing the right data. It's also interesting to see what governments, not just the Malaysian government, the Indonesian government, the Singaporean government, are going to do to prevent more forest fires this year. And of course the
what about
industries
Indonesia themselves? What are they doing about it?
I think they're doing the best they can, but then palm oil is a very, very transboundary issue, and half the time it's not necessarily palm oil that's the cause of the reason. So I pity Indonesia. They have a huge landmass.
Yes.
And they don't have really access to up-to-date maps about the boundaries of their plantations. So when a fire starts, it's really hard to pinpoint actually who the culprit is. Sometimes it's not even a big palm oil company. Sometimes it's just a community burning, which has cause a cascading events of other fires as well.
That's right. So if 2016 doesn't look pretty nice, because if you're talking about 6 months of the El Nino going on till at least June, April, May, June, before we get back to normalcy, and you're talking about the haze coming in after that on its annual, pilgrimage, and if you might say that,
Yes.
and if that's happening, then we've got the extra season altogether over there. It's that's going to be awful.
It will. And one of my main concerns is Malaysians prepared.
Yes.
We are quite reactive when it comes to dealing with disasters and so crisis. Number three, are we gonna? I mean, we've been going through this for many years. Are we going to take a turn around and say we're gonna challenge this and we're gonna hit this with a better plan? So I'm looking forward to see these kind of initiatives on the ground. I mean, NGOs are doing a lot on their own as well, but we're quite restricted in many ways.
That's right. Bottom line, everybody's got to play a part.
Yeah, it's
every single
Malaysia's
person.
for everyone of all sorts of backgrounds.
That's right. So humans in general, we've brought this upon ourselves. And
Yes,
there's no
pretty
pointing
much.
fingers at you, me, who, it's your fault, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. No, look at yourself and look at what you're doing in your own way to contribute to what's going wrong.
Right.
And that's where we should start, I guess.
Yeah.
And and this dry season that's happening, El Nino, and people got to be prepared with lots of liquids. Rehydrate yourself all
Lots
the
of
time, very
liquids.
important.
Minimize outdoor activities.
Minimize.
Especially in schools and all that. You don't want your children getting sick and, that kind of fever or overheating and all that.
Wastage of water. Talk about that.
Yes, that as well. When you have dry seasons, evaporation rate is higher. And we're not even sure if it's raining at the right places. So our main source of water comes from rivers, and most of the rivers are dammed up. So there may be a risk posed in terms of water availability to the right communities, especially like high population areas like Kuala Lumpur or PJ, where there's millions of people. So wastage is one thing, and also, I mean, I'm not sure if dry season is counterproductive to collect rainwater, but if it rains, why not think about having extra tanks at home to see you can capture rainwater and store it for outdoor usage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even in agriculture, also very important. Yeah,
Yes.
and that's going to take a hit as well when it gets too
Crops.
dry.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you have your own plants at home, perhaps some proper planning and things like that. I was just saying I wouldn't suggest now to be the right time to go out there and look for trees to start planting in.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to have enough water to plant, if you
Yeah,
live in
that's
if you
true.
live in an apartment, for example, and you start watering plants, you're going to really get the neighbors annoyed because
Yeah.
there they are conserving water for that apartment or for that condo,
Yeah.
and here you are throwing it away on plants and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
people are going to get pretty annoyed.
Pretty annoyed, and pretty annoyed at some neighbors who probably will be slightly more ignorant than you are. But that's the thing. That's the I guess the challenge in terms of how me sitting here on a radio station try to communicate with the people that are tuning in, to kind of take a seat back and look back again and kind of evaluate how we treating the environment by just looking at how we're running our homes. These are really simple things. But that's the thing, changing behavior, changing human behavior, changing mindsets, perceptions is very, very challenging. So you and me have a lot of work to do some more.
Yes.
To use these kind of opportunities to try to convince Malaysians to be a little bit more in tune, a little bit more rated in terms of their usage of things.
Be interested and find out more, right?
Yes.
And yeah, environment and all that, very unpredictable. But what's predictable is we're going to have clean cars. We're going to have clean cars. Come dry weather, no water, whatever it is. People still want to have clean cars.
Wait till you see my car. I wash it rainwater anyway.
Car wash day is rain day, right?
Well, no, because I told you I harvest rainwater, so I know I can clean my car in 6 buckets of big liters of water, because I sayang lah, I just use rainwater anyway. But yeah, clean cars, man. Every morning I see some houses, every morning they must have a wiped down car.
Do you get your neighbors calling you a cheapskate? I mean, no, sorry.
My neighbors don't even look at me in the eye.
Really? They feel so embarrassed.
I think they're a little bit intimidated, I guess. Maybe.
Yes, that's what it's going to do. It's going to make people feel very small when you realize what's actually going on
Yeah.
and how this person's actually saving a lot more.
Yeah, and trash separation, I forgot to mention that.
Trash?
2015 was a big step for Malaysia, for most states as well, when the federal government has announced the need to separate your waste at source. So I'm also curious to see how 2016 will drive through better segregation with the Malaysian public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Malaysian habits towards that, segregation and stuff? Because you come across those bins and you can look at one that says bottles only and you'll find somebody's half-eaten chicken and vegetable sticking out, and you'll find all those kind of things in there. and people just don't care. They just don't want to
Yeah.
separate it. It's like put everything in one packet. It's only a small bag, everybody thinks. Mine is just a small little problem. It's not going to make a big difference. But then, when it gets there, what irks me the most is when I watch people drive past the garbage men and how they hold their noses, and they wash their hands when they touch the bin and stuff. Look, it was your garbage in the first place to begin with. And
I know how it feels.
And you look at the bin man like he's the dirty,
And
smelly
he's separating
one.
it all for you.
He's doing it for
Yeah.
you. So I think it's about time we appreciate the bin man a lot more. The guys from the waste disposal and all that.
Yeah, I know. My grandmother those days would actually invite them to take a break, give them water, biscuits, because it's not an easy job. For us, it's out of sight, out of mind. Someone would deal with our garbage, but I mean, it's not an easy job to deal with the stench.
That's
to
right.
deal with,
Absolutely
rubbish.
not. Time we actually looked at ourselves for a moment, yeah?
Yeah.
And on everything, on the environment, on our, I tell you, there you go. Yasmin Rasyid in the studios over here, folks. If you'd like to find out a lot more, we'll give you the websites in a bit from now. The chairperson of Malaysia Environmental Non-Governmental Organization, Mango, and also presidents of EcoKnights on Traxx Fm. Put a smile on the environment for a change, I tell you, folks. Good morning. Welcome to our show. It's Yasmin Rasyid in the studios over here this morning, chairperson of Malaysia Environmental Non-Governmental Organization, Mango, and presidents of EcoKnights. And off air, she was talking about mangoes.
How appropriate.
not mango over here, but mangoes, yeah. And we were talking about some of the nice stuff. How do you keep fruits growing nice and healthy where you grow fruits?
I'm not sure if this is the key to the kind of fruits that we're growing very well in the office, because we compost all our food waste from the office. And one of my officers, Awang, actually uses a compost as fertilizer prior to planting the saplings of these fruit trees. So I'm not sure whether it's our compost that's really healthy, that's helping accelerate the growth of all our edible plants in the office. I like to think so, and we don't use fertilizers. We make our own eco enzyme as fertilizer and spray it around the plants and on the leaves and also on the soil.
Eco enzyme. Oh wow,
Yeah,
nice.
so we make- what
That's
we
a
do
little bit like what do you call that? What's that thing?
Like a vegetable
effective microorganisms
Yes,
involved.
something like that. So it's just a fermentation of fruit skins.
Okay.
Or vegetable peels, and ferment it with a bit of brown sugar, keep it for about 3 months, and it's ready to be used as a natural organic fertilizer.
Do you need to use only certain kind of fruits? Can lime
Lime is good.
Lime is good.
Lime is good. We prefer to use citrus-based fruits, so from anything from orange skin to lime skin, lemon skins. Some people prefer to use vegetable scraps. For me, I prefer not to use vegetable scraps because it smells a little bit foul. So I stick to just fruit skins.
Right.
Yeah.
And that becomes your nice little bit of compost that goes on for your plants as well.
Yeah, we have mint, we have rosemary, spearmint, we have stevia, we have kangkong, we have chiku, we have moringa seeds.
Yes.
The one used in your curry. We grow that as well.
As well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Do you see things? I mean, are we going in the right direction? You think a lot more can be done with the leaves that we sweep up at the side of the roads and some of the branches that might fall and stuff? We could turn that into all kinds of good things. I know they're doing it in some places.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of it gone to waste as well. And I'm thinking to myself every time I see it, it's like, it's such a waste,
Yeah, I mean, some local authorities are very amazing, like MBPJ or even MPSJ. They're taking the initiative to collect all these plant debris and actually compost it.
Yes,
and
I've seen those machines. They're great. I tell you, they just
shred everything.
They shred
right?
everything.
Yeah, and I've been to a few big events where MPSJ would actually give out this compost for free to the public. I think it's their way to engage people to think about waste differently. And I think MPPJ is collecting. A lot of the plants are palm related plants. They biodegrade a bit slower. There is a enterprise or a company that actually works with the local authority and collect all these palm based materials and make containers out of them, plates, packaging and all that, and they're actually selling it right now as well. So that's another way of how you can actually look at how waste can be converted into a product that can be very sustainable to use.
That's right. But beginning with reducing waste, that would be good, right?
Yeah, let's start with reducing first.
The waste at the start of it, and where are we going wrong? Where I know we're going wrong in a lot of places, but where is it most noticeable that we're going wrong? With those styrofoam boxes that we pack food in. They have cancer-causing cancer agents in them, and apparently they react with heat.
Yes.
Even.
Yes.
And
the hotter the food.
The hotter the food, the hotter you become with cancer cells. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not very scared of it, are we?
I guess it's because it's not something that's entirely visible. You know, if say your little styrofoam changes color, it becomes blue when your food is hot. You know, blue means chemicals are leaking out, and I think that would stop anyone immediately from using it.
Yeah, that's right.
The thing is, these are what you call like silent killers. If people don't see it, there's no smell. People conveniently forget about it.
That's
and
right.
that's the danger of these kind of toxic materials. Many of the time, number one, it doesn't impact you immediately. It takes a while before you see these problems manifest in you. You don't get cancer overnight from just eating in styrofoam. You get cancer over a long duration of time, and many factors come into play. So that's the thing about human character or human sentiments. You know, if it's not immediate, then maybe it's not that urgent after all.
Right. If it's gonna be cancer for somebody, it's gonna be the next door neighbor. It's not gonna be me.
Yeah.
Right. It's always that attitude, and we're not doing ourselves any justice in that sense. Yeah. So what's a good way if you go and take away food? If you go take away food, perhaps bring your own containers.
Yeah.
But people find it a little bit tricky.
Yes, find a bit tricky. Try to eat out. I mean, if you need to eat out, just eat at the place, maybe. And you can minimize packing food back. I mean, to ask people to cook now, it's also a tall order. Not everyone has the time to do that. I guess minimize eat out, or you're right. Bring your own packaging. Maybe put containers in your car, put containers in your office, put containers under your desk, wherever you think you may forget about it, but you know, have easy access to it.
That's right.
We pack our own food too, and it's challenging. Sometimes you don't pack enough containers, but you want to get some more food, and you still end up using something that's not too green, you know.
Right. And what's happening in 2016 for EcoKnights and Mango? If people want to be involved, are they welcome to? Can they?
Of course I mean, the best place to start is our Facebook page, where we would make actually more update announcements on the kind of programs that we're running and how people can play a role. We're going to be doing a lot of projects related to water this year. Somehow, I think a lot of our potential donors or partners are keen on this subject matter. Personally, I'm trying to look at more national-wide kind of initiatives, trying to see if I can pull together relevant stakeholders to create more rah-rah on the ground, so that we can do more nationalistic kind of efforts. Like I was talking to you previously, that we don't really have any studies that look at the totality of the quality of health of Malaysians, for instance. What's the difference between a person staying in an urban area and suburban area, and what are the differences in terms of environment? Are people in coastal areas more prone to a certain kind of pollution or not? You know, so these kind of studies, I think, are very important for the country, especially when you look at planning for the future, policies and so forth. So I hope to work closely with the academia this year and see how we can push for programs where hopefully we can convince certain government agencies to be partners and collaborators, and do something for the rakyat, do something meaningful and important, of course.
That's right. I wish you all the best for our sakes.
Yeah, thanks, Nigel. I need it.
Yes. and well, a lot of people can get involved. You can check out the website. It's www.mengo.org.
Correct.
Or you could go to www.EcoKnights, that's ECOKNIGHTS.org.mu, and you'll find out a lot more. Yasmin Rasyid, thank you so much for coming
Thanks,
and
Nigel.
talking to us today.
Thanks for having
we hope to see you come back and talk to us some more, right?
We will. I won't stop.
Fantastic.
Take care.
Good to have you with us.
Thanks.